They call him the one who got away. But in my heart, I call him the man I had to leave so I wouldn't lose my own soul. We were 4,000 miles apart, living in two different time zones, and for 2 years, my entire existence was reduced to a countdown for a FaceTime call. I thought our love was a modern fairy tale that could beat the odds, that we were stronger than the Atlantic Ocean. But then I realized I was slowly disappearing into the 8-hour gap between us. If you're waiting for someone who's a world away, you need to hear my story before you wake up and realize you've missed your own life. Before I tell you the exact moment I realized our forever was actually a slow motion breakup, hit that subscribe button. Let's talk about the heavy price of long distance love. My name is Sarah, and for 2 long years, I lived as a ghost in my own city. My boyfriend Liam and I were what everyone called the perfect couple back in college. We had 7 months of beautiful, physical, inseparable bliss before life decided to test us. A dream job offer in London pulled him away, while I stayed in New York to finish my degree. We promised each other the distance wouldn't change us. We made a pact. Right person, right time, just different places. We were so naive. Distance doesn't just change your location, it alters the very chemistry of your relationship. My entire day started revolving around a 4 a.m. alarm just so I could catch him for 20 minutes before his workday in London hit full speed. I spent my lunch breaks in a daze, staring at my phone in the cafeteria, waiting for a blue bubble to pop up. While my friends were out enjoying happy hours and weekend trips, I was huddled under a blanket in my apartment, crying because a good night text felt like a cold digital wave hitting a deserted shore. I wasn't really living in New York anymore. I was living in his time zone. I knew the weather in Piccadilly Circus and his London commute better than I knew the names of my own neighbors. I became obsessed with the what ifs. I kept telling myself, if I can just hold on for one more year, we'll be together. But there was no concrete plan, no central goal. We were just two people floating in a dark ocean, holding onto a rope that was fraying at both ends. I started to wonder, was I actually in love with the Liam who existed now, or was I desperately clinging to the memory of the boy who bought me coffee 7 months ago? I was loyal to a memory, while my real life was passing me by like a blurred landscape outside a train window. I was becoming an expert at a life that didn't exist in the physical world. I didn't realize that my loyalty to him was becoming a silent betrayal of my own growth. If you've ever felt like your life was on pause for someone else, drop a heart in the comments so I know I'm not alone. The fear didn't hit me like a lightning bolt. It crawled in like a slow-moving fog. It started the day I realized we had absolutely nothing left to say to each other. Our deep, soul-searching conversations about the universe and our futures had been replaced by a repetitive, exhausting checklist. How was your day? Did you eat? I miss you. The lag of a poor Wi-Fi connection became the third person in our relationship. I started to fear the silence. If my phone didn't buzz for 3 hours, I felt an empty, hollow panic in my stomach. If it did buzz, I felt a wave of anxiety because I knew the conversation would eventually end in a painful goodbye. I was 24 years old, in the prime of my youth, but I was turning down every single opportunity that came my way. A promotion at my firm that required occasional travel, I said no because I was terrified I'd miss our 6 p.m. scheduled call. A weekend hiking trip with my best friends, I declined because that was our only time for a long talk. My world was shrinking until it was precisely the size of a 6-inch smartphone screen. I was terrified of the cracks I saw forming. I realized that unless a relationship is rock solid, meaning it has a foundation of shared daily life, the distance will eventually find those tiny fissures and tear them wide open into unbridgeable canyons. The absolute breaking point was my younger sister's wedding. It was a beautiful summer day, and I was a bridesmaid, surrounded by love, music, and physical presence. And there I was, standing alone in a dark corner of the reception hall, trying to show Liam the flower arrangements through a shaky, pixelated video link. He looked bored. He looked distant. He looked like a stranger watching a movie he didn't care about. In that moment, the 8-hour gap didn't feel like a number. It felt like a black hole swallowing my youth. I realized that if I didn't end this now, I would wake up at 30, still waiting, and realize I had traded my best years for a digital ghost. I was about to make the most painful phone call of my life, but I had no idea that Liam was hiding a secret that would make the breakup even more shocking. Subscribe right now with notifications on to see how this turned around. I called him on a rainy Tuesday night. I didn't have a script or a plan. I just let the raw, ugly truth spill out of me. I told him I couldn't survive the 8-hour countdown anymore. I told him we were drifting away from each other's goals and that I was becoming a shell of a person. The shock wasn't that he fought me or begged me to stay. The shock was the heavy, audible sigh of relief that came through the speakers. "I've been wanting to say the same thing for 6 months, Sarah," he whispered, his voice cracking. "But I didn't want to be the bad guy who broke the perfect girl's heart." That was the ultimate sting. We had both been suffering in a silent prison of guilt, holding on to a maybe just because we were afraid to admit that the distance had won. We realized we were truly right people at the wrong time. Maybe in 5 or 10 years, when our careers have settled down and we're both in the same city, we'll find each other again. But for now, the most loving thing I could do was set us both free to actually live in the world we were physically in. The hardest part of a long-distance breakup isn't the final goodbye. It's the sudden realization that you're finally allowed to exist in the present moment. Since that call, I've started saying yes again. Yes to the promotions, yes to the late-night dinners with friends, and yes to the possibility of a love that I can actually touch. I'm still young, and I know I will find someone else who can hold my hand in person on a cold Tuesday night instead of just sending an emoji. My advice to you, don't let a long-distance ghost hold you back from your real, tangible life. If there is no firm end date to the distance, there is no future for your heart. You deserve a love that shows up, not just one that calls. Is right person, wrong time a real thing, or is it just a lie we tell ourselves to make the heartbreak easier? I want to hear your stories in the comments. If you need more strength to move on, check out the video on your screen. You're stronger than you think.